Good morning, dear students. I'm Professor K. Makeshwari, Department of English, KC's Kansinadar College of Arts and Science. Today, we are going to see about F.R. Lewis and his contribution to literary theory. F.R. Lewis was one among the most influential British critics prior to the theory movement, which means before the theory was named, otherwise established. F.R. Lewis played an important role in designing critical theory of English literature. Lewis derived his own influence from Matthew Arnold, and like Matthew Arnold, Lewis also assumed that the study and appreciation of literature is a precondition to the health of the society, which means society can be of a good one once it reads literature, once it appreciates literature. That is a viewpoint of both Arnold as well as F.R. Lewis. He did not have any strong belief in abstract ideas, and he looked for a system of literary appreciation, like our Arnold's touchstone method. How Arnold applied touchstone method to measure the quality of the contemporary literature, he also wanted for a system of literary appreciation. And however, he tried that, he couldn't achieve, otherwise, he couldn't come to a particular point what is his own exact theory. That's why the contribution of F.R. Lewis is very much limited in its field. He derived the influence from Matthew Arnold, but there is a difference between these two people. Okay? In one case, let's take this as an example of touchstone method, otherwise using touchstone method. According to Arnold, he used the old great masters like Chaucer, Milton, Shakespeare and their works for granted, which means he quoted Shakespeare, Milton, Chaucer wherever he needed to measure the quality of a present literary work. But this touchstone method has taken the works of the past writers only in a nutshell way. That's why even Dante has become a person who is an important one in touchstone method, which means Matthew Arnold does not question the excellence of Dante, he blindly accepted that. But by contrast, our F.R. Lewis did not blindly believe, otherwise, he did not take those writers for granted. He made his own literary works on those great writers. Even sometimes he abused them, and he wrote essays attacking the reputation of major writers like Chaucer, Dante, or Shakespeare, otherwise our great Milton, whoever it may be. He argued whenever those great masters went wrong. That's why there is a difference of opinion which we can find between Arnold as well as F.R. Lewis regarding the qualities of the great masters of the past. And the second difference which we can find in them, encouraging the amateur, otherwise the licensing the amateur people, otherwise amateur writing. Arnold, in his critical ideas, he seems essentially to license and encourage the amateur. For example, you may not read anything, otherwise, you might have not read everything, which means he implies, how could you, since you don't have the ultimate time of the professional critic? But if you have read the best and can identify its qualities, then you can be confident in looking at new writing and reaching a true judgment on it. So, what Matthew Arnold tries to say as a reader, otherwise as a critic, You cannot read all the works of a particular writer, but still, by having read a particular work, you can come to the conclusion of the greatness of those great writers. This Protestant aesthetic encourages a direct relationship between the individual reader and the literary greats. But this is not in the case of F.R. Lewis. F.R. Lewis began as an admirer of Eliot's critical work as well as of his poetry. But later, he gradually modified his views. He avoided the coining of critical vocabulary and instead used as critical terms, words, and phrases which already had established lay senses. For example, he has taken the word life. He did not use the word life to mean to say to live. He meant only as felt experience. For Lewis, the crucial test is whether the work is conducive to life and vitality. His extreme popularity was partly due to the fact that he was essentially a combined avatar of Johnson and Arnold. In F.R. Lewis, we can find both Arnold as well as Johnson. We can find the moralistic qualities of Johnson in F.R. Lewis as well as the social vision of Arnold in F.R. Lewis. As well as Arnold's anti-theoretical critical practice can be found in F.R. Lewis. On the whole, he tried to show himself as equal as well as the follower of Matthew Arnold in the field of critical theory. But however, he could not establish so that the influence of F.R. Lewis is very much limited in critical theory.